And you think it's just Alexandra de Moraes, Lula. Those people who are getting the worst of it with everything that's coming out, no. And that's how things are, right? Guilherme Amado, who used to be so loved by Alexandra de Moraes, now it seems that love is over. People are posting here on social media about the hefty sum of money received by the owner of Banco Master. Daniel Vorcaro's connections were huge, guys. And what about the journalists who used to support Zando so much now? Oh my goodness. Hit the like button, we're going to show everything here. Come be part of our family by subscribing to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe, come join our team. Look at that. Vorcaro sent money to the journalist who made the fake report used by Moraes to arrest Felipe Martins for the trip to the United States. When Alexandra de Moraes falls, and that's becoming more evident every day, all these people who did the worst things to honest Brazilians are going to go through a hard time. My friends, write it down so you can see for yourselves. They're going to be in a very delicate situation. There was a lot of wrongdoing. Look here, the situation is unfolding. Can Guilherme Amado explain if he really received 5.7 million reais from Banco Master? So many things to explain, right, Amadinho? Dr. Paulo Faria, right? Lawyer Daniel Silveira also posted it on social media. And then, look, Ricardo Feltrini also knows who else was funded by Daniel Vorcaro. Everyone already knows his blog was funded. Now we need to know the amounts that Daniel Vorcaro passed through this indecent guy here, right? The best and most impartial, responsible, non-activist, apart from the area, and competent journalist. Mocking here, right? Mocking this guy here. And then, that's how things are, right? With everything falling apart, now Guilherme Amado turns against Alexandra de Moraes. Look how things are. Messages with Vorcaro make it inevitable for the Attorney General's office to request an investigation against Moraes. The revelation of messages exchanged between Daniel Vorcaro and Alexandra de Moraes, found by the federal police on the banker's cell phone, adds a new element that should be decisive in whether or not Zando becomes formally investigated in the Master case. The existence of the apps was revealed by Malu Gaspar. Until now, the evidence only touched on the Supreme Court minister. They were essentially anonymous reports collected by journalistic investigation. From Malu herself, from David Friedlander and Eliane Catanier, this type of material alone was not considered sufficient by the Attorney General's office to justify the opening of a formal investigation against Moraes. Now he's even asking for an investigation against Moraes. Until yesterday, he was Alexandra de Moraes' favorite, so he could spread lies and put people in jail, including Felipe Martins, who is still in prison to this day. Because of this nefarious guy here, who one day will have to answer for these lies. You can be sure of that. You can be sure their day will come. Now, things are so wild that even Gomes, Guga Noblato de Suquinha, a big influencer, posted here, showing Guguinha letting go of the charitable defender of democracy. Everyone is already abandoning ship. Look at that. Zando was elevated to the status of defender of world democracy, a wonderful thing for his reputation, being an adversary of Bolsonaro, of Trump, who flirts with fascism and tries to stage a coup. He used to praise Alexandra de Moraes. Now, look at this. We can't have a corrupted Supreme Court. There has to be an investigation. Now they're calling for an investigation against Noblat. And he also criticized Minister André Mendonça. Go on, Jandon. Don't let André Mendonça attack you with the Bolsonarist narrative of judicial activism. He gave it back, Benito. These guys have a glass roof. The guy's mother, who was investigated for embezzling 33 million reais from Instituto Nacional de Colonização e Reforma Agrária, she was saved by Dias Toffoli. It was Dias Toffoli. Guys, how many years? This was many years ago when this guy's mother, the wife of this citizen here, committed those absurd acts, which were investigated, and it ended up in Toffoli's hands. Look at that. How many years ago? Vera Magalhães now, the same one who used to talk, who used to send messages to Alexandra de Moraes, watch and punish. It's really good. Here is Henrique. put it on, Vera Magalhaes will always be remembered as the journalist who celebrated the persecution with the meme, "Watching and punishing is really good." Pretending to be outraged now won't change the fact that she is responsible for the runaway truck that the Supreme Court has become. Because all these journalists now are playing dumb, right? No, I never spoke badly.
All of this gives this exchange of messages several layers of seriousness. We know that one of the possibilities.
It even makes you choke up. We know, What a juggling act they have to do, huh? Here is her text. Supreme Court ministers owe explanations about the master. It's also no longer possible. Alexandra de Moraes and Dias Toffoli, the two Supreme Court ministers whose names appear in different circumstances, associated with Vorcaro, their businesses, and the very course of the investigations, pretending it's not about them or acting outraged when asked to give explanations. People are saying, I live to see Vera Magalhaes demand explanations from the saviors of democracy and even criticize them in the same text. The world goes around. I've always said it here, haven't I, my friends, that a storm doesn't last forever. You won't be happy for the rest of your life. You won't have moments of happiness for the rest of your life. Just like you also won't have moments. Bad ones for the rest of your life either. The storm ends one day. It always ends. Always. That's just how the world is, right? And one day this extreme persecution would end. Because without Zando, those people who did the worst things are absolutely nothing. They needed Alexandra de Moraes to commit all the worst atrocities they did to honest people. But everything has an endpoint. Everything has an endpoint. Alexandra de Moraes is obvious. Zando will go down fighting, shooting at everyone, just like today. Moraes votes to make Silas Malafaia a defendant for insult and slander against the army commander. The Supreme Court's first panel has started judging the Prosecutor General's complaint against the pastor. Ministers can enter their votes into the electronic system until the 20th. There in that first panel of Zando, Dino, the lawyer Lula Lazanin, Carmen Lucia, those ministers there. He will go down fighting. He will go down. He will keep going. This week now. The staff from his office there, calling the penitentiary insistently to see if Felipe Martins had already left there, if they had put him in that prison that puts his life at risk. So they will, until the very last moment, commit the greatest atrocities. Do you think these people are in any position to judge anyone else? Paulo Gomez himself, the guy, I live to see it. Raquel Landim. Raquel Landim, exposing Paulo Gonet. Exposing Paulo Gonet. Here, look, Gonet runs the risk of becoming the new. They even call him the new Aras. There's no comparison. Aras was a great attorney general compared to this Gonet.
There are 3 occasions when Gonet failed to investigate the corruption. First, the Attorney General saw nothing wrong with a contract worth over 100 million reais involving the minister's wife,
Alexandre de Moraes and Banco Mário.
Do you think so? The guy doesn't see anything wrong with the biggest account. I think it's the biggest legal contract, right? Between a client and a lawyer, the biggest contract in the world. If it's not the biggest in the world, okay? In terms of figures, I don't think even in the United States, those powerful lawyers, extremely powerful, unless they're someone's son, someone's husband.
Esposa de alguém? Não.
Some big shot, no. A lawyer who built his own career, something like that. I don't think even they ever charged the amount that was charged in Vorcaro's case. And in the messages there's not a single message with Moraes' wife, only with Alexandra de Moraes. And Raquel Landim here, I live to see Raquel Landim also criticizing Paulo Gonet. Besides this issue of almost 130 million man, how did the guy not find anything wrong with it? The guy there, Vorcaro, threatening to break a journalist's teeth by simulating a robbery. Or even saying he's going to beat up the employee, beat up his own employee. And Paulo Gonê didn't find it strange at all. No, he doesn't deserve prison. It's because what we understand is if he, having a clear idea of what he could say, would really end up in a very complicated situation. Yeah. One absurd thing after another keeps coming out, leaking every day. Look here, another one here in Estadão, also criticizing. Paulo Goné's inaction shakes the credibility of the Procuradoria Geral da República and increases criticism of judicial selectivity. The Attorney General's stance in the Master case bothers peers and in Supreme Federal Court Minister. If it were the Supreme Federal Court Minister who would be bothered, if it were André, Fouque, and Cassio, right? Because the others have always given all the support and backing for Gonê to do the worst things, look at that. Jorge Saifa adds, the Attorney General's office is central to Brazil's accusatory system. It is expected to have independence, institutional courage, and technical performance, regardless of who is being investigated. In recent months, however, both inside and outside the institutions, a worrying perception has been growing that the Attorney General's office has adopted an excessively cautious stance in sensitive cases. The recent repercussions of the Master case exposed this discomfort. Guys, it's impeachment for many of them, impeachment or removal, and Inácio being prevented from appointing any minister. Because it doesn't make sense, right? Something like that. Most of these people are supporters, or were in the past, huge supporters of everything that this guy represents that's bad for our nation. But now all of that is leaking out. All of that is coming out now. You can't hide it anymore. Can you believe that? This week is ending, and obviously a lot more will come out over the weekend, you know? Especially on Sunday. Why on Sunday? On Sunday is when people are at home. That's when journalists release more information. And next week, there's a lot more. And this isn't going to end. It's not going to end. Every day there's a new bombshell. Have you noticed? While we're talking here, in the middle of the night, more stuff could come out. And tomorrow morning even more. And then on Sunday even more. Every day. After André took on this report, things really started to heat up. It started hitting a lot of people. But Guilherme Amado, all these people there, especially Guilherme Amado, a man is in jail because of this guy's lies, okay? That's a fact. Share this video on WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, hit the like button, and come join our family by subscribing to the channel, okay? Big hug to all, stay with God, see you in the next video. Thanks, I'm out.